I've spent over 3 decades watching moments that change everything. People who thought they had time until the heart said otherwise. A man in his 70s once told his daughter he'd be fine. It was just a little pressure. He waited, sat down, and never stood again. Another woman, 68, did something different. She called emergency services, chewed an aspirin, sat upright, and stayed calm. She survived. That line between living and leaving is thinner than most imagine, not drawn by luck, but by action. Most heart attack deaths after 60 happen before reaching the hospital, not because medicine failed, but because fear froze the moment. Hesitation, pride, confusion, they steal the minutes your heart needs most. This isn't about fear. It's about readiness, knowing the quiet steps that buy you life, to call, to breathe, to stay still, to act. If you're listening right now, remember, awareness is the first heartbeat of survival. Welcome back to Longevity Conversations. I'm John, and today we're joined by one of the wisest voices in modern medicine, Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara. Doctor, when someone over 60 feels that sudden, crushing pain, what should they remember in that first terrifying minute?
First, remember stillness. Panic burns oxygen. Calm restores it. Sit upright, loosen your clothes, breathe slowly. Tell yourself, help is coming, my job is to protect my heart. Your mind must lead before your body can follow. In Japan we say, the calm hand steadies the blade. The calmer you are, the steadier your pulse becomes.
Many older adults fear being alone. How can they prepare before such a moment ever arrives?
Preparation is an act of kindness to yourself and those who love you. Keep aspirin close. Know your emergency number. Unlock your door if you feel unwell. But above all, know your body's voice. It whispers before it cries out. If you listen daily to your breath, your heartbeat, your fatigue, you'll notice when something changes. That attention, that awareness, is what keeps you alive.
Doctor, you said something powerful earlier, that most people don't die from a heart attack because the body fails, but because they wait too long to act. Why do we hesitate in those critical moments, and how can we overcome it?
John, hesitation is one of the quietest killers in modern life. The heart sends its warning, pressure, tightness, breath that feels just a little shorter, and yet so many of us pause. We think, it's probably nothing. I'll rest for a bit. That small moment of denial can steal the minutes that matter most. I've seen people survive massive attacks because they called for help within the first 3 minutes. I've also seen people lose their lives waiting for those same 3 minutes to pass. The difference is not medicine, but mindset. We grow up believing strength means endurance, that real toughness is ignoring pain, pushing through discomfort. But after 60, true strength is awareness. The body speaks softly before it screams. If we learn to listen, we can change the outcome before disaster arrives. The first sign of chest pressure, sudden dizziness, or pain that moves to the jaw or arm, that's your heart whispering for help. When you feel it, don't stand. Don't walk it off. Don't tell yourself to be brave. Sit down, call for help, and let your calm guide your next breath. In Japan, there's a saying, the bamboo that bends is stronger than the oak that resists. Flexibility saves life. Pride destroys it. Many older men, especially, mistake silence for control. They don't want to alarm anyone. But silence in these moments is dangerous. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's taking action while afraid. Every second counts because the heart muscle begins to die within minutes of oxygen loss. The earlier you seek help, the more heart tissue can be saved, the faster recovery begins. Survival is not luck, it's response. When you call, when you stay still, when you trust that acting quickly is wisdom, not weakness, you shift the odds entirely. Awareness and action, they don't just save your life, they honor it one heartbeat at a time.
Doctor, you've often said that calm is the first cure during a heart attack. That sounds almost impossible in such a terrifying moment, when your chest tightens and every breath feels uncertain. How can someone truly stay calm when their body feels like it's collapsing?
It's a beautiful question, John, because it reaches into the heart of human instinct. When danger arrives, the body reacts before thought. Pulse rises, breath shortens, fear floods the system. But in a heart attack, that same fear becomes your enemy. Every heartbeat, every ounce of oxygen becomes precious currency. Panic spends it. Calm conserves it. In those first seconds, stillness is not weakness. It's medicine. You tell yourself softly, I am safe. Help is coming. You slow your breathing, one gentle inhale through the nose, one slow exhale through the mouth. This rhythm signals the body that it is still in control. It keeps the nervous system from spiraling into chaos. I remember a patient in his late 70s, a quiet man who once had a heart attack while gardening. He told me later he wanted to run inside to call for help, but he stopped himself. He sat down on the grass, breathed deeply, chewed his aspirin and waited. That act of calm saved his life. Movement would have accelerated his heart's demand for oxygen. Stillness gave it a chance to survive until help arrived. In medicine, we study cells, arteries, and blood flow. But what truly keeps a person alive is the harmony between body and mind. The mind must lead the heart through stillness. When the heart races, let the breath slow it down. When fear rises, use focus as an anchor. Think of calm not as the absence of fear, but as the art of guiding it. In Japan, we teach that serenity is a form of strength. A calm person is not one who feels no fear, but one who chooses clarity over chaos. That choice, to breathe, to sit, to trust, can extend life by minutes, and those minutes can mean everything. So when pain strikes, remember, calm is not a luxury. It's the first and most powerful medicine you have.
Doctor, in our earlier talk, you mentioned something that really stayed with me, that stillness protects the heart. It sounds simple, yet deeply profound. Could you explain what that means and why something as small as sitting still can make such a difference during a heart attack?
John, the human heart is like a delicate engine. It beats over 100,000 times a day, tirelessly, without complaint. But when that engine begins to fail, even a small strain can be the difference between survival and collapse. During a heart attack, the heart muscle is fighting for oxygen. The more you move, the more oxygen it needs. It's like asking a tired runner to sprint. The demand becomes too great and the system fails. Stillness, on the other hand, gives the heart a chance to survive. Sitting upright allows blood to flow more freely through the lungs, helping oxygen reach what little of the heart still functions. It's a quiet act of preservation. I remember once, many years ago, treating an elderly woman who suffered an attack while cleaning her kitchen. She told me later she wanted to crawl to the phone across the room, but she stopped, sat down and breathed slowly instead. She managed to call her neighbor, who found her still conscious when help arrived. That simple decision to stop moving has kept her alive long enough for treatment. The body, when still, conserves its energy for what matters most, keeping the heart beating. Stillness also has another purpose. It calms the mind. The moment you sit, you send a message to yourself. I am taking control. The body responds with steadier breathing, slower pulse, and better focus. In Japanese culture, we value stillness as a form of wisdom. Before any great decision, the elder sits. Before any crisis, the wise person pauses. Movement is often a sign of panic. Stillness is a sign of awareness. So when that sudden pressure hits your chest, do not stand, do not walk it off, do not try to be strong. Strength in that moment means stillness. Sit down, loosen your clothes, breathe gently, and let the body rest while the heart fights to heal. In stillness, life gathers its strength to begin again.
Doctor, you've said before that preparation is a lifeline, especially for those over 60. But many people don't think about emergencies until they happen. What does true preparation look like? And how can someone make it part of their daily life without living in fear?
That's a very human question, John, because most of us live believing tomorrow will look like today. We assume our heart will keep beating the same way it always has, until one day it doesn't. Preparation is not about expecting the worst. It's about respecting life enough to be ready for its surprises. A heart attack doesn't give warning. It takes. And what it takes first is time. Those first few minutes decide everything. When you prepare, you buy those minutes back. Start with simple things. Keep aspirin in a small container near your bed or in your pocket. If chest pain comes suddenly, chewing one tablet helps thin the blood and improve flow to the heart. Make sure emergency numbers are saved and visible, not buried in a phone that might lock or run out of battery. Tell your neighbors or family where you keep spare keys. If you live alone and feel that something isn't right, unlock the door before sitting down. That one step can save rescuers precious seconds when they arrive. In Japan, we have a tradition of Anzen no Kokoro, the heart of safety. It means caring enough for yourself and others to think ahead. Preparation is an act of kindness, not worry. When you prepare, you're saying, I value my life enough to protect it. I remember an elderly couple who practiced small drills once a month. What to do if one of them collapsed, where to call, where to find medication. They never had to use that plan, but they told me it gave them peace. Peace itself is medicine. The truth is, every heart attack is unexpected, but no one should face it unprepared. Small habits, small awareness, they build invisible armor. Preparation turns panic into purpose, fear into focus. And when the moment comes, your mind will already know what to do, because you've already chosen to live wisely, not fearfully.
Doctor, you've often spoken about how the mind leads the body, even in moments of crisis. That idea feels both comforting and mysterious. How does our mindset actually influence what happens inside the body during something as serious as a heart attack?
It's not mysterious at all, John. It's the simplest truth of life. The body listens to the mind more than we realize. Every thought, every emotion sends a signal through our nervous system, shaping how the heart, lungs, and blood vessels behave. When fear takes over, the brain floods the body with stress hormones. The pulse quickens and the heart works harder, even as it struggles for oxygen. But when the mind finds calm, the body follows like a child returning to its mother's arms. The breath steadies, the blood pressure lowers, and oxygen begins to flow more efficiently. In that harmony, survival becomes more likely. I once treated an elderly man in his 80s who suffered a heart attack while walking home from the park. He told me later that he remembered something his late wife used to say, "Don't let fear be louder than your breath." So, instead of panicking, he sat down on a bench, closed his eyes, and breathed slowly until help arrived. His heart was weak, but his mind stayed strong, and that made all the difference. When the mind leads, the body listens. During a heart attack, most people think, "I'm dying." That thought alone accelerates the process. But if you can shift it, just slightly, to "I'm still here. Help is coming. I must stay calm," your body begins to work with you, not against you. It's a quiet cooperation between the spirit and the flesh. In Japanese philosophy, we call it kokoro, the unity of heart, mind, and spirit. They are not separate. They breathe as one. A healthy body cannot exist without a steady mind, and a steady mind cannot exist without trust. So when pain strikes and fear rises, lead with your thoughts. Let your inner voice become your medicine. Tell yourself softly what your body needs to hear. Stay calm. Stay here. Breathe. That command of peace is what gives the heart its best chance to keep beating.
Doctor, one of the ideas you often repeat is that awareness begins long before an emergency. I find that so interesting, because many of us don't notice our bodies until something goes wrong. How can awareness really help prevent or even survive a heart attack before it happens?
That is the heart of true medicine, John. Not curing illness, but cultivating awareness. The body is always speaking. Every sigh, every ache, every moment of fatigue is a form of communication. But most people today live surrounded by noise of worry, screens, habits, so the body's voice becomes faint. Awareness is the art of listening before it's too late. A heart attack is never sudden to the heart. It's been whispering for years. It begins as mild breathlessness after walking a few steps, a heaviness after meals, a tiredness that doesn't fade. The body gives these clues not to frighten you, but to guide you. I remember a woman in her 70s who came to me after feeling not quite right for weeks. She said it wasn't pain, just a sense of unease. Her tests revealed severe blockage. She was days away from a heart attack. Because she listened, she lived. The difference between awareness and ignorance is not luck, it's attention. Awareness is like keeping a lamp lit in a dark room. It doesn't stop the night, but it lets you move safely through it. Developing awareness doesn't require science, it requires stillness. Take 5 minutes each morning to sit quietly and notice your breath, your pulse, your body's weight. When something feels different, do not dismiss it. The body rarely lies. In Japan, we call this practice miyomoto shirushi o shiru, to know through the body's signs. That's how our elders lived long, not by fear, but by familiarity with themselves. Awareness is also emotional. The heart responds to loneliness, stress, and anger as much as to cholesterol. When you calm the mind, the heart relaxes. When you stay curious about your own well-being, you prevent half of life's crises before they start. The truth is simple, John. The heart speaks early, softly, and kindly. Awareness is just the courage to listen before it has to shout.
Doctor, before we close, I want to return to something you said earlier, that readiness is wisdom after 60. It feels like such a gentle but powerful truth. What does that really mean? And how can older adults live with that sense of readiness without feeling anxious or fearful about what might happen?
Readiness, John, is not about expecting death. It's about embracing life with awareness. When we are young, we believe our bodies will always obey us. We rush, we recover, we ignore fatigue. But after 60, the body becomes more honest. It tells the truth about how we've lived. The wise learn to listen, to prepare, to honor that truth, instead of resisting it. Readiness is a kind of peace. It's knowing you've taken small steps to protect yourself and the people who care for you. It is not fear. It is respect. In Japan, many of our elders keep a small notebook near their bed, a list of medications, doctor contacts, emergency numbers, even the blood type. They do it not because they expect to fall ill, but because they wish to make life easier for those who might help them. That is wisdom. When you are prepared, your mind rests. You don't have to worry about what could happen. You've already made space for calm if it does. I once met an 82-year-old man who carried a small card in his wallet that said, "If I collapse, please call this number." When I asked him why, he smiled and said, "Because I love my life enough to protect it." That's what readiness looks like, not anxiety, but affection for life itself. We live longer today, but longevity without mindfulness becomes struggle. To be truly alive at 60, 70, or 90 means to walk with humility, not haste. Readiness gives you that. It lets you live freely, knowing you've done what you can. And the moment something happens, whether it's a sudden pain or a small warning, that you act, not panic. Wisdom after 60 is quiet. It's in the way you fold your medicine neatly, the way you rest without guilt, the way you treat every heartbeat as a friend to be cared for. Readiness is not the end of living. It is the beginning of living consciously.
Listening to you, Doctor, I'm reminded that survival isn't just about reacting in a crisis. It's about living with awareness every day. Each small act of preparation, each calm breath, each moment of listening to our own heartbeat is a form of love toward ourselves.
Yes, John. To live long is not to chase years, but to cherish moments. Health begins in the mind, continues in the heart, and blossoms through kindness, to our bodies, to others, to life itself. Breathe slowly, live gently, and let gratitude guide your days.
If this conversation touched you, subscribe for more wisdom and keep your heart and your hope alive.